Hi everyone, welcome to our 3 p.m. live on networking now. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. How's everyone doing? Good to see you all here. Thank you for beginning to log in. So today I'm speaking to Malika Parekh, who is also the person who's brought Physique 57 to Bombay, to India really. And I'm really excited to have her here and chat about all things fitness. I'm going to get right started because we are a bit delayed, so sorry about that. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. How are
Hi,
you?
how are you? Good, thanks. How are
Sorry,
you?
sorry for my delay. As usual, the
That's okay.
internet was just acting up, and it was just wasn't letting me go live.
Better you than me, Sean. I feel like it's been I have a good track record for these lives. So hopefully,
It's so
fingers crossed.
stressful when it just stops working the minute you need it to work the most.
I know. But I guess
Yeah.
everyone listening is familiar, all too familiar. So it's hopefully they
Yes.
forgive us.
Yes. How are
It's
you
hopefully
doing? How's it
it will hold
going?
up for me as well. Doing okay. Thanks for asking. Doing okay. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, good. I feel like every time I'm on one of these now, I have a different contraption in my ear to figure out what works. So
Yeah, so
hopefully
I've
you can
stopped
hear
using
me.
my headphones completely because I think after a month of doing this, I've realized that just works for me. But I think something else works for every person that goes live.
I think I may join you soon. Let's see. Let's see how
So
this
how's
goes.
the lockdown been for you?
Oh wow, it's been a whirlwind, just as I'm sure it's been for everybody else in their own way.
Yeah.
I have two small toddlers at home, twin girls, and
Oh wow.
yeah. So and then with the business, it's just been, trying to manage what everyone else is trying to manage, their homes and their businesses and their kids, and just being confined and all of that. So, but we're okay. I mean, look, we have no complaints. We've been very blessed and
Yeah.
uh, we're doing okay. It's allowed me some really great quality time with the kids, which I was really missing out on. Even just seeing them for a few minutes in the day has changed things I feel for them. So it puts a whole new spin on work from home. It's
Yeah.
tough, of course, to focus, but it's been really nice for me personally. Thanks for asking. How about
Awesome.
you?
Good, good. It's been busy, I can say. Thankful, like you said, we're blessed, but I'm thankful that we can do so much from home, and it's really teaching me a whole new work from home, which has been great. So
Yeah,
yeah, and I've been doing these live chats every day, so it's been good
I
connection with
know.
different people and just seeing what everyone's up to, kind of moving online, and it's been nice.
They've been great. Thank you for doing them, and thanks for having me on today.
Thank you. I'm very excited. I want to start by, of course, asking you how you got Physique 57 to Bombay. What was the idea, and how was the whole process of bringing them here?
Yeah, so look, I have a background in healthcare. I My whole career was spent in healthcare. I did a master's in medical science as well as a master's in public health. And I was working on and am still currently working on a healthcare venture in India, starting with Bombay. And in working to develop that, what I noticed was the increasing awareness around fitness, and this was when I started. When I started coming back and forth from New York to Bombay, it was 2012, and between 2012 and 2015, when I moved here permanently, um, I just noticed the increasing awareness and demand on fitness, and also the lack of credible options that really existed for women. So I knew that women were increasingly aware and able and eager to work out, but there are not very many workouts that exist with the woman's body, designed with the woman's body in mind, right? And so Physique 57. Long story short, I had my own experiences with Physique 57 in New York, which were amazing. I dealt with a lot of injuries um, and I was not a gym person. when I lived in Manhattan. But when a friend introduced me to this, I noticed that I experienced change in my body, but I also experienced, that muscle ache that you get after a workout in a good way. But I
Yeah.
experienced no pain in my joints, and that was huge for me, and very applicable to the Indian audience and the Indian female audience, because Indian women struggle with bone density issues. We have lower bone density than many populations
Yeah.
globally, right? So in my research and in noticing the trends and in knowing the science behind what Indian women deal with in particular. And look, men can do it and men do it and men love it. But
Yeah, absolutely.
there are very few workouts that are designed primarily keeping the woman's body and those extra functions that a woman's body can do in mind, right? And so I just felt that it was super applicable and there was a great demand for something like this in the market.
Yeah.
So long story short, I spoke to the franchise owners in Manhattan, and a couple of years later was able to introduce it to the Indian audience.
It's amazing because when physique came to India, I really didn't know what it was all about because I haven't lived abroad, so I didn't know what the concept was. But of course, seeing everyone do it and everyone's reviews, like my friend who did it till she was 38 weeks pregnant, I think 36 weeks pregnant, and she was like, "Listen,
Yeah,
it's the best workout." And then only when I tried it for myself, when Reina and Gauri got me in, when I realized that hey, this is fun, and I discovered muscles I didn't even know I had.
exactly. That's the most common feedback I think we get, that
Yeah,
we've discovered muscles we didn't even know we had. And
yeah.
yeah, so I'm so happy you had a good experience. And congrats to your friend who made it through, what was it, 36
Yes,
weeks of pregnancy? Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, working out. That's great.
Okay, so I want to ask you, of course, when you started physique, of course, we love the studio and we love being there, and I've done classes there. But now, unfortunately, in a time like this, we have to move stuff offline. So,
Yeah.
how's it been? Do you really think that people are taking to this online coaching and this online classes? What's your vibe? What's your take on this?
Yeah, so look, I think that at the end of the day, we have two camps of people, broadly speaking. We have one camp of people who love the studio experience. They stepped through our doors. We really worked hard when we built that facility to create a space where people could escape to and take
Yeah,
1 hour of their day and really focus on themselves, their health, and just focus and tune out the noise, right, of the city, of whatever else they were going through. Unfortunately, given the current situation, that environment no longer exists in the physical sense. So what the challenge has been for us has been to try and recreate that virtually. And then you have another camp of people who have been wanting to try the workout, who have been wanting to, get to the studio, but weren't able to due to accessibility. And now, we have a whole new audience. In addition to our loyalists, we have a whole new audience, which
yeah,
really sort of spans across India now. So many people who said, we've heard of this, we've been wanting to try it, and now we actually can. So it doesn't necessarily replace what we had in the studio. The vibe that we really worked hard to create was obviously, it's really incomparable to anything else that, a lot of people have seen in India. But we've really worked hard to recreate that energy virtually. So, and it's been hugely successful. Look, I think the community aspect that these group workouts have, if you can manage to replicate that digitally,
yeah,
then I think that you still have that sense of community that everybody's sort of craving in a time like
yeah,
this. So
yeah. So we have
so it's been
Kavita,
good.
who's the Sobo edit, who's logged on, and she says it's too far for her because she's in Colaba, but she's been doing your virtual classes, and she says like me, so it's actually made her a convert, which is great because I think that
Amazing. Hi, Kavita.
traffic.
Yeah, and the thing is, Sean, right before we locked down, we just finished our Kolaba studio. So, Kavita, it's here. It's just not open.
I know,
But
I was
we
so
just
excited
finished
about that.
we just finished the build out for that. Juhu was on its way in about a month and a half. We were supposed to launch Juhu. Bandra was next in line. Delhi was, we've found a site location in Delhi. So we were in the middle of a massive expansion, both in Bombay as well as outside, and unfortunately, we were paused. but we're just paused. We're coming soon.
Just pause, and I can't wait because I think the good thing, like, like you said, you look at the positive in every situation. I always feel, and like you said, new people are getting to experience it, and that will just make them want to keep coming.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
And
so tell
that's
me, yeah.
the, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No,
No, I
I
was
was
just
gonna
going to
say that
say
tell
with,
me.
go ahead.
Okay, so I was saying that during COVID-19, of course, right now, I think the best thing is that people are getting to really focus on their fitness and focus on a class and focus on really doing what they want. I see people doing 2 workouts a day. I see people doing different workouts every day. So it's nice. But what do you think in terms of like the wellness industry? And like a lot of, initially in the first 2 weeks, I saw so many people just going online and doing workouts for free. But what do you think the change will be? What's it going to be like? This is something I've been wondering actually.
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. So obviously, Sean, we've seen, you know, everything has to now have a digital component. We've seen that, and people have, I'm thrilled to say, because of my team and because of all the people that, we've had on my team and all the support that we've had with our marketing team, we were able to really turn around and pivot very quickly online, and that was huge for us. I think that other brands are looking to do the same thing. So of course now everybody that has any sort of fitness routine or regimen is looking to deliver that service online. I think, nutritionists, wellness professionals, that whole industry, everybody realizes the importance of a digital component. And so that brings in operational differences, right? We're going to be tracking new metrics, ease of booking. One thing that has really stood out to us is the fact that now people can find out about us, click a link, register, pay, and attend, right?
Yeah.
Just through a simple call to action. It's much more simple than having to bring them into the studio. So the studio, as beautiful as, if I dare say so myself, as beautiful as we tried to make it, it's just so much more accessible. So I think in terms of the industry, people are definitely looking to come online and have an online component. That said, I think that the online component will be an add-on. I don't necessarily think it will replace the studio experience, but it will be here to stay for a very, forever potentially. And I think it would work nicely in tandem with the offline component for a lot of businesses in this space. The other thing that you're going to see is a lot of cross collaboration, right? So collaborations within the industry, so different fitness and wellness brands collaborating, but also cross collaboration or collaboration across industries, right? So people who never would really have talked or done activities or, just really associated before are doing that because everybody understands the value of a health component today. And so for fitness and wellness brands, this is super exciting because they're able to offer something to every industry out there, which I think has been really exciting to us because we've been able to, really open to new audiences. So not just the fitness enthusiasts, but also people who were maybe looking for something or maybe weren't thinking about it, but are now thinking about it because of these cross collaborations. So things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Like, I have to say one thing that you guys made the switch very well, very smoothly, very soon. So it was like week 1 of the lockdown, and then you guys were like, okay, we're online. And I think that's great because people who've been doing the bar workout would like to continue that rather. And right now we're all confined at home. We have limited space to do the workout. So kudos to you guys for doing that.
Thanks. That's all my whole team. That was not me. That was my team. It was a rough few weeks, but they dealt with me and they worked so fast and tirelessly, and it was laser focused from them. So really all kudos to them.
Yeah. So tell me, of course, I have to tell you my experience when the lockdown started. Malika, I've never entered the kitchen. If I was ever cooking a healthy, you'd never see me cooking. But today I'm like trying to make new things and recipes. And like you said, I'm watching so many people online. I'm trying different workouts. But what's your take on how the wellness industry has changed in the last 2 months or 3 months? And of course, post-COVID, there will be a completely different change as well. Do you find them very similar? What's your take on that?
In terms of the change in the industry, you're saying?
In the industry, yeah.
Yeah, so look, I think a few things from a fitness and wellness perspective, I think a few things stand out. As soon as we went into lockdown, everybody, so many people, I should say, were offering uh, free content, right? And I think as a business, obviously that was tough because there's huge value in what we do. There's huge value in what, our trainers have been so extensively trained. They have such extensive backgrounds in fitness and in dance, and we have a very specific method, right, that we teach to make this workout what it is in
Yeah.
terms of safety, in terms of efficiency, in terms of effectiveness, and just in terms of being a fun workout. And so all of a sudden coming online, which was great, having others who were offering so much free content, that was tough to begin with. I think we all had to do it, right? We had to be sensitive to the situation around us. So I think that was imperative for all of us to do. But I think that that is one of the major changes that happened right away. And now we have to sort of see how things are going to go from here. The other couple of changes, I think, we were no longer in control of our facility. So when it was a physical space, we could manage and maintain our quality and our standard, which was very difficult to do when all of a sudden we're going online, we're going on this platform that we don't control. We don't control the AV quality. We don't control the Wi-Fi connection. So
Yeah.
that was a huge challenge. And I think that that's going to be something that the industry sort of struggles with for a while. But there are many platforms that are opening up that are, sort of enabling us to continue doing what we do well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
maintaining the virtual energy is probably one of the largest challenges and changes that we've seen. So we had the ability to create this energy in the studio. Having that translate virtually is very difficult.
Very different.
It was yeah, it was a tall order for our trainers to really be able to achieve because they're going through their own stuff with this lockdown. They're human. And then we were asking them to not only bring the studio energy, but bring more energy to pick everybody else up, and get them motivated enough to work out. I mean, it was a tall order. So I think that
Yeah. Yeah.
that energy for the industry is going to be something that we all have to work to conquer. But again, our trainers have done a fantastic job in doing so.
Yeah, so I did a class when you guys just started the online with Sanya, and she was amazing. Like, she had her music on, and every time the internet even fluctuated, of course we're all used to it. We do Zoom calls for work. She would be back and she's like, I'm here, keep working on. If you lose me, just keep going. But like, it's literally
Yeah,
we're dependent on the internet today at any time of
yeah,
the day. So
yeah.
really grateful that we even have that. So, the other thing that I want to ask you, do you find people getting more into fitness and more worried about their health post COVID-19? Because I've noticed that big shift in, my group of friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we're not moving as much as we used to. So inherently, we've all just slowed down. So I think that combined with the fact that health is top of mind for everybody right now, given what's going on, it has made everybody that much more conscious that, the body's, as I always say, I say this a lot, but the body's best defense is the body itself, despite all of the treatments and all of the, homeopathic remedies and allopathic remedies that we may look to. The best thing that you can do is live a balanced life, take care of your body, both in terms of diet and exercise. And so, of course, given what's going on, people are just that much more conscious of exercise because of what's happening. And exercise is contributing to so much of our immunity, right? So whereas before we may not have been thinking about how many colds we got in a year, now nobody wants to get the slightest upper respiratory tract infection because it could mean 14 days of isolation, maybe more, testing, quarantine, and so the anxiety of that and that anxiety can contribute to sort of a hit to our immunity. And so to protect against that, I think people are much more aware that they need to just keep in shape, exercise, lower their cortisol levels, keep their endorphins high, flush their respiratory tract, that sort of thing. So I
Absolutely.
think,
Absolutely. You know, I have to tell you one thing, Malika, when I hosted the class with physique and with the one that Sania took, I had a lady who's a mother of three, okay, and she would be probably older than my own mother, and she's part of my network, and she messaged me saying, "You think I can manage?" And I was like, "Yeah, come, you know." And she's like, "I've never done another workout in my life. I've never entered a gym." So she only goes for a walk every day, and she loved it. So
oh,
I think that
amazing.
that
Thank
is
you for
such a
sending
big
her.
change. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank
that
you.
is such a
Yeah,
big change because I think that they're willing to try new stuff.
that's right. I think people, it's not a gym.
Yeah.
And I sort of hate when we're referred to as a gym because we're not a gym, we're a boutique fitness studio, and there's a difference. But one of the main reasons people
Yeah.
don't actively go is because of the fact that it's daunting, and they don't necessarily know what to do. So what this has enabled us to do is bring
Yeah.
it to people who wouldn't normally think about exercise the same way, and or at all, and allow them to, even first timers, to try it. And it's definitely a workout that's designed for beginners as well as people who are advanced, fitness professionals. So I'm very glad you
Absolutely.
sent her to us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, it's great. I mean, I was so happy that somebody's willing to try something new in a time like this. So I think it's great. I, also wanted to bring up another topic, which, we have a lot of entrepreneurs and like freelancers. And this is the question I
Yep.
get asked. Please ask this on every live of yours. And this question is about social media. You know, how big
Yep.
a role do you think social media plays or has played during this time to kind of change your game for Physique 57?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, before this, I think social media was viewed obviously differently by lots of different people, but um, I think that people were sort of referring to things on social media as, aspirational, and not necessarily relating to a lot of the content that was on social media. It
Yeah.
was more
Yeah.
about aspiring towards different things as opposed to really relating. What this has done is really bring this element of community back to what social media is really intended to be, right? This was all founded on the premise of connecting us, and that's what this time period has been able to do. So I think that's huge for brands, because they need to use the platform now for what it was designed to do, which was connect people and create as many elements of community through this
Yeah.
as we can. Right now, we're not looking to social media for the same reasons we were to look at, whatever pretty things we were looking at. We're looking at social media. We're not looking to, looking at people's lifestyles and looking at what they're up to and just like from the outside. We're sort of looking to connect with people. We're talking, we're having conversations, we're agreeing with each other, we're disagreeing with each other. And so I think that's huge for brands. So and another thing that social media has done for brands, and for our brand in particular, is it's really opened us up to this pan-India audience. So again, people who have maybe heard about us, maybe not heard about us, who have been potentially wanting to try it, have now been able to try it, because why? Nothing stops them. Nothing changes if you're in Bangalore versus if you're in Bombay. You get the same workout, you get the same trainers. So that accessibility has been huge. But I think
That's true.
the community building aspect of social media is sort of the most important thing that brands should take out of this.
Yeah. So, that's a very valid point because, again, I bring this back to my class that I hosted. I had three friends from Bangalore. And, they've never been able to do the workout here because they don't live here. And one of my friends lives in Bangalore, but originally from Singapore. So she's quarantined in Singapore now, but she did the class from Singapore. So it was so nice
Exactly.
that you can
Amazing.
do a workout with your closest friends who just don't live with you, but you're doing it digitally.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we found, that this whole time frame of isolation where, we're kind of stuck on our own, there are things that we can do virtually, like this online workout, to connect with other people. And, you all have common goals, and you hold each other accountable. And that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, for the physique workout, everyone knows that it's bar and it kills you, but it's the best workout. Like the next day, I felt like I couldn't even walk. But I think it's great
Oh
because,
no.
like I said, there are muscles that I've never, I feel like I didn't even know I had. But it's a great workout, and of course, your studio is my favorite part because it's just such happy, fun, and positive energy. You know, with everyone like Claire and Anisha and Sanya and everyone, even at the desk, everyone's just so welcoming. It's like, come, we're ready to get your muscles paining and you have you not walk tomorrow. But
Oh,
but
that's
tell
not how
me,
it's designed, I promise. No, it's supposed to
but
leave you
I love it.
feeling
It's a happy
energized,
place.
but yeah, it's a good burn. It's like
Yeah.
it hurts so good is what I say. It hurts so good.
It, it does. It's a happy place. And but tell me, in terms of working out at home, how many times a week should somebody do a physique class? What can they expect? Anything you'd like to tell us, before in case they are keen to do this? How many times should they be doing this? A lot of people who go to the gym have been building muscle for time. Now sitting at home, you don't have access to everything. So what's something that they can do even virtually or even just in their diet, which can help them not lose this? So I'm asking you two aspects of a situation in one question.
Sorry. Just repeat what you said, the first part of the question. Can you hear
Sorry.
me? I just repeat what you said, the
Yeah.
first part of the question.
So how many times should a person do the physique workout, even if they want to do it
How many
virtually
times?
for a while?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can they
So
expect?
in terms of how many times a week, look, according to everything that's out there in terms of, the official boards, which tell you how much one needs to exercise, um, if you were to do two physique workouts a week, okay, you would see general maintenance. That's 2 hours of exercise a week. So each workout is 57 minutes. Each workout has cardio, strength training, and stretching. So you're getting about 120 minutes of exercise a week if you do two. That's okay for maintenance if you're doing other things. So if you're walking or running or doing or some other strength training, you would need something else because the recommended amount of exercise per week is a minimum of 150 minutes. So typically we say to really see change in your body, to really experience, we say visible results within 8 classes, but many people will take one or two classes, as you know, and see and feel results almost immediately.
Yeah.
What we say for optimal use of the method is about 3 to 4 times a week. You can do more, but I think it's important that you start slow if you're a beginner, and build it up to 3 or 4 times a week. That's a pace which is manageable. It's sustainable in the long run. There's no risk for injury in that. You're allowing your body to recover, to rest. You're not, right now, everybody's sort of paying attention to exercise because of immunity. If
Yeah.
there is such a thing as too much exercise, if you exercise beyond a certain point, you will see a spike in your cortisol levels, and you will see your immune system compromised, actually. So I think 3 to 4 times a week in the current environment, in what we're going through, is absolutely manageable, it's sustainable, and it's effective. And I think that's what our recommended sort of dose would be.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're more active, you want to do 4 or 5 times a week, that's fine. But it's important to give your body a day or two to recover.
To recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, and the second question that I wanted to know is, so when a lot of people go to the gym and they've been working on themselves, they've built a lot of muscle. But at this point, you're
Yeah.
sitting at home and no access to a lot of, you don't know, some people don't even have the minimum weights at home. So what can they do to kind of not lose all the stuff that they've kind of built and over time?
So I will say that, strength training is incredibly important. So it's important that we just don't fall into a cardio habit. It is really, really important that we continue strength training at home. If you don't have access to weights, please come do our workouts, because you don't require equipment. You actually, and I'm not just, I mean that sincerely. It's a method that's been designed which doesn't require that much. You do have the bar, and you do have
Yeah.
light weights and things that we use in the studio. But if you don't happen to have light weights at home, we use things like, people use water bottles, People use wine bottles. I mean, you'd be amazing. You'd be amazed between water bottles, wine bottles, pillows, and maybe a yoga mat, which most people who are tuning into an online workout tend to have, out,
Yeah.
and a sturdy piece of furniture. Outside of that, you really don't need much to be able to do strength training, because the type of strength training that our method pulls in is using your own body weight for resistance. And that's super important for preventing, things like osteoporosis and maintaining bone density. It's really important to do weight-bearing exercise where you're using your own body weight for resistance, and also exercises where you're sort of defying gravity to protect your bones. So you don't need the gym and you don't need access to weights in order to do strength training at home. Come and see our workouts and see how it's just one way of how it's possible. But I think that the method has done a better job than most in making sure that you really don't require much and you're still able to see the same effectiveness.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have a question as well from Karina Adnani. She's part of our network and she's a nutritionist. She says, is Physique 57 looking at incorporating nutrition as well, since exercise and diet go hand in hand?
Hi, how are you? Yeah, so look, I think for nutrition, it's been something that we've toyed with as a brand, I think, a lot through the years, if I could speak for the other locations as well. I think absolutely diet and exercise go hand in hand. That goes without saying. What I think people are realizing, though, is that nutrition is very much a personalized approach. So you can give general guidelines and the brand will always give general guidelines that we believe in. I have a master's in medical science. I have a background in these things. So I can give generalized, scientific, evidence-based advice on nutrition, which we can stand by for the general audience. But I think that what we've seen and what people see and what we know today is that nutrition is really a very personalized science. And so there are different things, people have different allergies, intolerances. And so people really need to figure out what works for them. So we do have nutritionists that we work with. We have sort of a panel of nutritionists. We have recipes that we offer from people who have struggled with nutrition-related illness. If you see our page, there is a lot more content that we're going to be providing on nutrition, so stay tuned. But but it is separate. It's not we will never say Physique 57 requires X diet. It is always, it's a much more personalized approach. We treat food and nutrition as a much more personalized approach. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Malika, before I of course leave you, because we're running out of time, I want to ask you a little bit about the future. What do you see post this when you open Physique? What do you see as some things which will be challenging for you? Like all restaurants are saying they'll keep a table in the middle. You can't be up to 100% capacity. What do you see the reopening of Physique? And I hope that it is soon, because fitness, wellness is important. And we're all missing the studio. So what do you see as the foreseeable future of Physique in India?
So it's interesting. Thank you for that. I think, we've seen a huge uptick in the increase for privates. And it's interesting because we have this whole method is based on a group workout and the science behind group workouts. But I think that, so I'll just get into that for a minute. I think there's this thing called the Kohler effect, where people in a group environment tend to perform better because nobody really wants to be the weakest link.
Yes.
And so when you're in a group environment, there's evidence to suggest that your workouts are actually more effective because you're working out a little bit harder. But I think that unfortunately, given the situation, we're going to see a little bit of fear. Some people, Raina, I believe she's tuned in, she'll be there first in line.
Absolutely.
So thanks for that, Raina. But I think, and I think people will be craving a certain element of social interaction after all of this is done. So you'll have those people who are just not afraid and want that and want to be doing something healthy while they're socializing. And so, it sort of checks all those boxes. But I think, one of the challenges we're definitely going to face is fear of just being in the group environment. That being said, anybody that's been to our studio knows that we've always been very, very meticulous about our hygiene measures. So we already have a contactless check-in process. We have hands-free doors. You know, with my background in public health and my experience in hospitals, this is stuff that we actually put in from the get-go. So we have hands-free accessories in the bathrooms. You don't have to touch too much when you're in there. We'll have, you know, staff wearing masks. We'll have instructors maybe wearing visors. I mean, these are all things that we're exploring, but our hygiene levels have been very high right from the start. We have a fresh air ventilation system, which we put in right when we started, which takes care of, you know, just not having the same air circulating. So we've already done a lot, thankfully, in the build out of this facility to remove a lot of the fears that people would have coming into a facility, coming into an indoor facility. So we're super lucky, I would say, in that way. But I think that, you know, the number one thing that we're going to have to deal with is just people being afraid of what's okay and afraid of maybe not even their own health, but infecting somebody else. I
That's
think
the
it's
main thing.
important.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we remove the stigma around being infected, right? I mean, as a business, we would feel responsible for informing our clients if somebody was infected, whether it was a client or, God forbid, a staff member. And I think, you know, we just have to sort of figure out how to live with this. So we will be offering privates. We always have, but we've seen an increase in the demand for privates and small group classes. So you could potentially rent out the studio at a certain fee, or you can buy out a class with your friends so that you know who's in there and you're not sort of doing class with people that you don't necessarily know. So we've seen some demand for that, and so we'll sort of make those public as we start to
Awesome.
open up.
Awesome. So the last thing I'm going to ask you before I leave you, of course, this has been a tough time and everyone's, I think there's so many life lessons during this period. But is there anything that you can share that you've really, learned at a period like this? Because especially because you've been in public health and running a fitness brand. So could you share anything that's really changed you in a time like this, or thoughts that have come to you that you're like, I really want to do this?
Yeah, so look, I think a few things. I think in terms of the business, but also personally, I think number one, you know, we have to be agile. I think it's important that we're able to pivot with anything that we're, you know, overseeing or anything that's sort of thrown at us. It's important that we're agile.
Yeah.
As you know, as a brand, I think two things that are incredibly important after all of this. One is it's important to stay true to your brand. And I think that has been really hard for people to understand in all the panic and in everybody going online and in everything happening around us. It's easy to get caught up in trying to figure out what else
Yes.
we can offer. And the truth of the matter is, if your product is good or your service is good and you believe in that, stay true to your brand. Don't try to be all things to all people, because eventually people don't remember that. That's forgettable. So I
Yes.
would much rather people remember us as, you know, what we are, as opposed to trying to do all of these other things, which people could potentially get elsewhere. And then, you know, the number one thing I think is that the community aspect has just been enhanced after all of this. So whether it's online or offline, it's our responsibility as business owners to do anything that we can, and personally as well. If you can help somebody by helping them, make them feel like they're part of a community, you're doing a lot of service in this time.
Yes.
So I think the community aspect is going to be really huge.
Totally agree. Thank you, Malika. It's been great chatting with you. I also want to say one thing, Karina. You're asking, would love to try out a bar workout at the studio, but they have amazing virtual classes on Zoom. I've done them, and I know some friends who are doing them as well. Plus, if you share this live to the Physique 57 inbox, you'll get 2 free classes. So this is your chance to really try it and make that change. But Malika, thank you. It's been super chatting with you, so informative, and I think I've learned so much also about physique and you while
Thank
doing
you.
this live.
I hope to see you again in the studio soon,
Yes,
but until then, I will see you online. I hope you do
yes.
as many classes as you can. I know you're so busy with these lives, but thank you for bringing us this forum and for having all these great people speak about what they're doing during this time. I think it's been really, really great. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, Malika. It's been great, and I will be back because the Collabo studio will be walking distance from my house, so I'm very excited
Oh,
about that.
yay. Good.
No
Please,
traffic.
so just just to repeat for your followers, just
Yeah.
screenshot the chat, and everybody that tunes in gets just screenshot it and let us know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we'll get you 2 complimentary classes on us.
Awesome. Thank you, Malika, and see you soon. Stay
Thanks.
well, dear, in
Thanks
this
so
lockdown.
much, Sean. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Bye. See
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.